Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And I have been to the cinema. First I've been to the cinema, I think, in a couple of years. I can't even remember what the last movie I saw was. God, I hope it wasn't Rise of Skywalker. Ooh, that's a bad one to go out on. And I've seen No Time to Die. James Bond movie is best to see. I thought is best to see in cinema. No, last couple of years have bred that out of me now. Really, it's terrible, but it really has. I think I'd rather stay home. I think I probably would have rather stay home to watch this. I'm almost certainly staying home to watch Dune. If there was a way of watching at home, I probably would have done it. I just found it depressing, quite frankly. I went on a Friday, right? On Fridays in Israel. The weekend in Israel is Fridays and Saturdays. And normally at malls, I haven't been out for a couple of years. Normally at malls are like throngs and throngs of people. So I went to the mall. Has a gorgeous theater in it. I absolutely love that theater. So I went there. Deserted. The mall's deserted. Everything's like locked up and closed, apart from a COVID testing place. I'd be like, just deserted. It was depressing. And then I went into the theater. It was a 600-seat theater with, I think, 12 people in it. If that. I mean, if that. It might even be less. To me, this looks like the end of the cinema industry for me. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be like in the States. But, you know, I just think they've lost about 80% of their normal audience, and I don't see them going back in the near future. Anyway, No Time to Die. Watched it. Was very, very worried about it because I love James Bond a lot. And I will lead with the headline that it's not woke. In my opinion, it is not woke. Has a lot of woke tropes, and I think it was designed to be woke. But I think they decided against that after, they got a bit of a delay, thankfully, for COVID. And they were one. I think they were one of the first people to delay their movie. I think this is all connected. About the same time, we just saw so many things do very, very badly. Terminator, Charlie's Angel, like lots of things that should have done well do very, very badly, and I do think they realize going woke goes broke. But I will talk about that more in the review. Can you hit the like button? That'll be fan-freaking-tastic. Can you hit the share button? Even more fantastic. Thank you very much. Subscribe. If the like and share button are fantastic and even more fantastic, I don't even know what word to use for the subscribe button. If I can quote the cat from Red Dwarf. You ever seen Red Dwarf? They have a life form, the last of a species that evolved from a cat over ship's cat over 3 million years. A long story, don't worry about it. But he has a great line once. He says, "I'm so excited, all 6 of my nipples are tingling," which is basically how I feel. If you subscribe, thank you very much. Like, share, subscribe. Make a rabbi's nipples tingle today. Listen, it's not often you do get that offer. I like to offer you new and interesting. Like, share, subscribe, comment. The algorithm loves your comments. Nim, eat them up and go, yummy. Give me more yummy comments. Like, share, subscribe, comment. What else? That's it. I don't have anything to plug right now. Other than that, if you subscribe, make sure you're still subscribed, because the YouTubes will unsubscribe you. Fine. So where to start? I'm going to start with no spoilers, as I said, until the end, when we will. I think at the end of this review we will talk about that big spoiler, which you've probably heard about already. Which I didn't really bother me, although it felt a bit tacked on. But we'll talk about that at the end. I'll go spoiler warning, spoiler warning, spoiler warning. So you'll have an idea that this is spoiler. Up and down, it's spoiler free. And okay, so we're back with the final of the Daniel Craig Bonds, and I like the Daniel Craig Bonds. I think let's take a step back and look at them in as their own little bubble, because that's, I think, essentially what they are. They rebooted with Casino Royale. So that's very much Bond Begins. I'll say Casino Royale had the direct sequels, Quantum of Solace, far inferior Quantum of Solace, but that was essentially Bond Begins, right? So somebody, I think Dan from the Space Book said, look, the Daniel Craig era has a beginning, middle, and end, which is a very interesting thing. Doesn't really. It has a beginning with Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace. Then it has an end, end/rebirth with Skyfall. Skyfall was the end of Bond. They did something that they've done in a lot of Bond movies so far. Starting up with Die Another Day. Okay, let's go through this. Die Another Day. Then they did the same thing in Skyfall. And then they did the same thing in Spectre. No, yeah, and they kind of did the same thing over here. So 3 times in the last, I don't know, 6 movies, it's Bond coming in out the cold, being brought back out retirement, that sort of thing. It's like that Neil Purvis and Purvis and Wade, the people who wrote the ones who've written every movie since was not Tomorrow Never Dies. The World Is Not Enough. Love The World Is Not Enough, by the way. It's one of my favorite Bonds. So go watch that again. Neil Purvis, he was the screenwriter along with Kari Jury Fukunaga, who was a director. I think it's probably one of his weakest movies in terms of directing. We'll get to that. But anyway, I do think it was shot to be woke, and I think they re-edited the hell out of this. So much so. Again, without spoiling anything. Everybody knows the basics of this movie. That's been released. I don't feel that's where that Bond has retired, and years have gone by, and they've given a new agent his 007 number, who just happens to turn out to be a stunning and brave a black woman who looks like a little boy. It's like, okay, there's a lot of current day Hollywood going on in there, right? A lot of current day Hollywood. But this sort of thing has been done more than once in a Bond movie. He's teamed up with other people. So yeah, the argument is like, look, this is stuff that's quite traditionally Bond. You can't call it woke. So this is why I think it was woke, and I think it got de-wokeified. I think it was woke because just look at the calendar, right? It's the calendar is, we live in a world where everything is good, especially 2018, 2019, when everything was super woke, right? Because they felt the world was ending, and so they ended the world to stop the world ending. Looked out your window recently? Yeah, exactly. But they felt so everything was super woke, and you can't make something in that environment without it being woke. So I truly believe that the original end of this movie was M going to the stunning and brave black woman, Lashana Lynch, and say, come along, 007, we have work to do. And it would end with a gun barrel sequence with her in it, and they completely intended that she would be the headline the series going forward, much like Phoebe Waller-Bridge is supposed to headline the Indiana Jones series. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, by the way, also one of the screenwriters here. No sign of it whatsoever. For example, they talked about writing scenes of Lashana Lynch talking with Moneypenny about tampons. Like, dude, nobody. Okay, we don't mind blood in a James Bond movie. We do mind menstrual blood. Like, men are funny about that, and this is essentially a male fantasy with James Bond. A male fantasy and also a female fantasy as well. You know, it's he's a sexy figure regardless of what side of the gender divide you're on, right? So it's directed by Karney Georgie. Karney. I'm just going to say his bloody name. His first name, Karney. And on a technical level, it fails on a few different ways. Firstly, half an hour, way too long. Half hour too long. There's a half hour too long, and not enough focus on the villain, so you don't really get to know much about Rami Malek's Safran, who should have been Dr. No. Let's be honest, should totally, and he plays him like a very, very traditional James Bond villain, like very, he seems like a modern take on a Sean Connery Bond villain, but you really don't know much about him at all. What they spend a lot more time on is developing a connection between the lady love of the movie. What's her name? Dr. Swan. What's her name again? Leah Seydoux, Dr. Swan. So one of the big failings of Spectre was Madeline Swan, who Bond leaves MI5 to run into the sunset with, right? And And she just had very, very little screen presence. It was very dull and very not very compelling, and I didn't really believe it. Right, that's basically about. I just didn't really believe their relationship. So this is a central part of of this movie, and I think it fails. And I think they spend a lot of time connecting her to Rami Malek's character, and even though they do it in ways that look I mean, it's shot beautifully. I mean, there's a snow attack. You see the trailers. It's shot absolutely beautifully. Does something actually interesting. But if you took all that out, you save half an hour right there, and you get a punchier movie that doesn't focus so much on a dull character that you're not that interested in. And I'm talking about Dr. Swan, not Rami Malek. And it also would have given Rami Malek a lot more time to shine. And yeah, the pre-title sequence is just way too long because of it. They do two things. They set up this connection, and then you get the pre-title sequence, which is brilliant. The pre-title sequence is I think one of the best. I'm actually kind of looking forward to this coming out on home media, rewatching it. However, we're talking about the direction. It kind of fails because it's not clear. Like if at first. It's not clear that this is a direct, not a direct sequel. Like this carries on directly from Spectre. Like this is the next frame, right after Spectre. And at first I thought it has a few years gone by. I'm not sure. So it starts off with again, that's Spectre ended Bond and Dr. Swan running off together in each other's arms, and she convinces him to go to. What's her name? The Bond girl from Casino Royale, who's freaking gorgeous. I mean, just unbelievable. What's her name again? Yeah, go to her grave and say goodbye to her. And it basically what this beginning bit of the movie is. It's a new riff on the ending of on Imagine's Secret Service. So Bond drive off into the sunset, and Diana Rigg is murdered. Oh my God! What I wouldn't give for Madeleine Swan to have the same screen presence as Diana Rigg. Oh, that would change everything. It really would. Maybe they should even recast her for this movie. She's not bad. She's just boring, right? She's absolutely boring. So they, Spectre and Blofeld wants revenge, much in the same way. It has a different outcome. I don't want to spoil it for you, but I do love the way they reference that. I mean, Daniel Craig says to her at one point, "We have all the time in the world," right? And it's wonderful. I as a Bond nut, I absolutely adored that. Fantastic action sequence. Again, after we wade like 10-15 minutes through the setting up the Rami Malek Madeleine Swan connection. Just a fantastic action sequence. So then 5 years later, they split up. It's again, I'm not really spoiling it for you. They split up. They're going off into the sunset. Doesn't really work out. And again, I'm before the opening titles. I haven't spoiled anything for you. And it goes to five years later, and Bond's retired. And he's bought out retirement to do a job by Felix Leiter. Jeffrey Wright, love his Felix Leiter. Absolutely love his Felix Leiter. And yeah, a lot of this movie is. I'm going to stop being plot specific right now. But a lot of this movie is if they could just liposuction out the fat, and there's a lot of it, and make it a leaner, tighter movie, would have been great, because it really does lean into a lot of the Bond tropes. You do have. You have this great scene in Cuba with finally a sexy Bond girl. What's her name again? Ana de Armas. She's the only bit of of eye candy in the movie. Even the titles were very good. They're very good Bondy titles, but they were missing silhouettes, and of course the furtive side boob of the Roger Moore years of women doing all that in the titles. I'm sorry, sex appeal is part of James Bond. Taking it out, you're losing a major section of the movie, right? So, and also, yeah, it does, but it leans into all the Bond, most of Bond's tropes. He's in a tuxedo. You get a great action sequence. He infiltrates a Spectre party, which was very very cool in Cuba. And yeah, the basic idea of the MacGuffin he's after in this is a good one, right? I think it's actually a very very good one. Um, so he goes on an adventure. Basically, and that's where he meets the new 007 who warns him to stay out the way. And they basically develop a little bit of a well, not romantic relationship, but a bit of a back and forth relationship. She's just not very good, Lashana Lynch. I mean, at one point and at the end, they give her one line and says, "You know what time it is? Time to die!" And she delivers it badly, a bad line, but that's the other thing they have in this. Where they have a lot of the Bond one-liners, like shocking. That's something. That's one. They got gadgets in it. You got the basic Bond family of Ralph Fiennes, M, who I really like. M is involved with the creation of the MacGuffin in this. And Q, Ben Whishel's Q. I like Ben Whishel's Q, and they mentioned that he's expecting a boyfriend or to come over for dinner. Didn't bother me in any way, shape, or form. Right? Did not bother me at all. It was a throwaway line. Fine, who cares? I mean, honestly, who cares? Naomi Harris's Moneypenny is fantastic, and Amazon, if they're smart, I mean, what I think they should do with Bond is cherry pick the things they like, much like J.K. Simmons is back as Jonah Jameson in the Marvel universe of movies as inspired. Yeah, look, I'd like what's her name? Ralph Fiennes as M. I like Naomi Harris as Moneypenny. I think they really set her up well in Skyfall. They're just fantastic. So yeah, I would keep them. I'll keep Ben Whishel's Q. An interesting take on it. And honestly, if they want to expand this, I would do a Moneypenny miniseries, right? Where she goes into action for something. So I mean, she's got screen presence, right? And I think that would work quite well. The other trope it leans into is Bond going into like an evil lair, the villain's evil lair, and blowing it up or tempting. But well, that's the basic. There's a lot of things you recognize and you love from Bond movies. So there's one thing you won't recognize. Spoiler warning! Spoiler warning! Spoiler warning! Spoiler warning! Spoiler warning! Right? So let's talk about that big spoiler. Okay, if you don't want to know, and honestly, does it change the movie? It didn't. Right? It didn't. The Bond heroically sacrifices his life in this movie. Because the whole thing is about a DNA targeted pathogen virus that they have, that they basically they could just program whoever the hell they want to die and die. So he's infected with Madeline was it Dr. Swan's blood, which means he can't ever touch her again or she'll die. And it turns out, which I think this was a much bigger part of the movie than the death of Bond, was that he has a daughter, right? In the few days he was together with Dr. Swan, he fathered a daughter, and so he can't go near her wife and daughter. And anyway, he has to stay there to make sure that the missiles come and blow up the evil island. A lot of people are very upset about this, right? A lot of people are very upset about the death of Bond. I really wasn't. And firstly, it felt tacked on. It felt like another movie he could have got out of it, but it felt tacked on. It has somewhat dramatic resonance, but I said the Craig movies exist in their own bubble. Though you have Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, Bond Begins. Then you got Bond Reborn. Bond ends in Reborn. So basically, all the other Bond movies, happened between Quantum of Solace and Skyfall. And then so you got a beginning, an end, and another end in Spectre, which wasn't very good or somewhat lackluster. Another, and then, so this is kind of a do-over for Spectre, and I think a far more successful one. The only person left to talk about is Christoph Waltz's Blofeld, he's in one scene, and boy, is he so much better in this one scene. In this one scene he's in this movie than he is in the entirety of the rest of Spectre. Really, really, really good. Now we're into spoilers. He drops the bomb that the reason that he split up with Dr. Swan was because he thought that she informed Spectre of his whereabouts, leading to the attack in the beginning. No, he said, no, I just did it. We're watching because we knew you'll go there. I did. Yeah, I really liked it. I like the magic. The magic eye, that Blofeld used to be everywhere. I thought that was quite cool. And so look, this is essentially an end of the Craig Bond bubble universe. Where they're going to go to next, I don't know. I hope they go somewhere fun. Look, they will never hire him. Tom Hiddleston, I think, is the perfect Bond. I'm worried that they're going to go with a black Bond. And the reason I'm worried about that is because when you say you don't think James Bond can be black, people misinterpret that and saying you don't think an action hero can be black, which is utter nonsense, of course. Utter nonsense. But I don't think James Bond can be black because he's from a ancient British aristocratic family, which means they're all white, right? That's not to say there aren't black people, in the stock, into that echelon of society now. In the 70s and 80s, a lot of Nigerians came with a lot of money to England, and they bought their way into the gentry. You send your kids to the right school, you learn how to ride, you read Tatler magazine, look, there's no racism going on in the British gentry. They'll take anybody with money. Anybody who has money is kosher, right, for them. So, but it's not an ancient English family, which is what the character is, and I think it's very, very endemic, an endemic part of the character. For me, that would be changing in so much as not James Bond anymore, right? And it just seems like you're making a black person do a parody of a show, of a thing, to make yourself feel good about yourself. And I don't like that, right? I just think that's kind of icky, right? I think that's kind of icky. Okay, the only last thing I should have talked about this before the spoiler section was, again, the storytelling wasn't great in terms of it was clear. If I was watching this at home, I would have turned the contrast up a lot because I couldn't see what was going on. The soundtrack was muddy. I couldn't hear what's going on a lot of the time either. Which all kind of annoyed me. These didn't seem to be artistic choices. It just seemed to be screw up. But although, again, I am convinced this movie was completely re-edited, which is probably why I think it seemed a little bit murkier and muddier. Because I don't think they went to the cost of doing reshoots, especially during COVID. I just think that they recut this, and I guarantee you that final scene at the end where they're sitting around having a scotch to remember Bond. There was a scene where M was like, "Come on, 007, we have work to do." At going to a gun barrel sequence with her in it, which I really think that was what was going to go down. Thank God it didn't, right? Thank God it didn't, and I believe in God. I mean, genuinely, thank God it didn't. No Time to Die, so it's better than Quantum of Solace and Spectre, not as good as Skyfall and Casino Royale. There you go. That's a review for you. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.